But I just had a moment there as you were speaking where I remembered myself when I first started. And the reality actually is, ladies, like, let's just face this, is it's very difficult. It's very difficult because we're not taught business at school. No one's
Yeah.
taught it. We're taught like Pythagoras' theory. So what you end up doing when you're on your own is you're effectively just trying to fan the flames on your own. Because let's face it, when you start a business, like, you can't afford stuff. So you literally are. I think someone said the other day, I was listening to a podcast and someone said when you start a business, you have like 180 different roles within your business. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. I wear all the hats.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about me at the start there as you were speaking, and I was like, if I was listening to this podcast now and I was at the start of my journey, I'd want someone just to say, hold on a second. It's actually really difficult to do because you need to just like throw yourself into just exposure to it and letting people know that you even exist.
Yeah.
There's only so much energy you can give. So I think what I would say to people is this, and definitely what I did, 100%. My advice would be, there is no point being the best kept secret. It is a waste of your time. You could have the best website, you could have the best logo, you could be actually the best property investor, the best interior designer, you could be that. But if nobody knows that you exist and nobody is there to buy your services, what's the point? So actually my advice would be, worry about what we're talking about maybe in a couple of months and maybe down the line. And for now, just get yourself out there. Just get yourself out there and just get yourself exposed, because let's face it, you can't start thinking about managing your money until you make money. So my top tip would be, treat your business like a business and actually just really, really go for it and market yourself, and visibility and getting yourself out there. My mentor actually was really trying to say to me was, when you're a business owner, there is no office. There is no, here's my office hours, here's my cut-off, here's this. You almost become 24-hour business owner. So I'd be responding to DMs, for example, at 11 p.m. at night, 12 p.m. at night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., because let's face it, as entrepreneurs, you're always awake. And she was saying to me, you're not treating it like a business. You're treating it like you're just chatting to your friends. And she's like, you're teaching them bad behavior. You're teaching them that there are no boundaries with you. And actually what you should be doing is saying, this is a business. This is Girls and Property. You can't get access to me at 12 a.m. in the morning. You can gain access to me from Monday to Thursday, 9 till 5:30. Thank you very much. Off I go and I live my life. Because I burnt out twice doing my business. I burnt out twice. I've lost relationships along the way as a result. And this is the reality of what being a business owner is. And I wish that people talk about it more and say, treat the business like a business and not a glorified hobby.
Yeah. And you know what? I can really relate to that. I remember the very first business I did was like supporting British style and home designers. And I had a website. And when I look back now, it wasn't a business. It didn't have solid foundations. It was just a really glorified hobby. But because I was pumping so much into this hobby and not focusing on it being a business, I burnt out so quickly. We can't hide away from these things. We've got to talk about them. And I know both in your coaching circles with the women that you coach and mentor, and mine as well, we talk about the implementation of structure, boundaries and energy, because both of us, we're very much on the same page when we talk about the internal work that we do to ourselves as a business owner. And both of us are very passionate in mindset as well. And I always remember, and I think it was about 2 businesses in, where I really thought about business has to all be about strategy. I never really thought about the foundations as much. But I never even thought that internal conditioning, priming, or energetic work would have a play at all until I got exposed to it. And this is something we talk about a lot with you and I, is pouring into your own cup and setting your boundaries. Like, that's perfect that you said that about the times, because you will burn yourself out if you don't put boundaries and non-negotiables in place.
I feel like each of us have our own journeys. And also, depending on what you are manifesting and what blocks or resistance you have to that manifesting, can slow down or even pause or stop that from happening because of the fear and the resistance that you actually need to clear. It's rhyming. So it's actually,
yeah, it does. I love it.
Recognise in the quicker you get at observing, first knowing what you want. So some people live their life and don't even know what they want because they're living somebody else's life, or they're doing everything for everybody else, or they've just never thought about it. So the first step would be being really clear on what it is you're asking for and what it is that you're wanting. If it's in business, then what are you wanting in your business? Like, be really clear and what I call colourful. So sometimes we have the outside and the outline, but we don't have the depth and the detail. So manifestation can help you to get that detail. So first you want to really get clear on what it is I'm asking for, so that intention's there and clear and set. And then once you've got that, you then want to, as quick as you can, understand on what resistance and fear do I have of that not happening, and really understanding that, because once you know that, you go, right, okay, then there's something I can do about it. And that's where people get the most blocks or resistance to even doing that, because we live in a world where we don't want to admit when we're going through something, or we don't want to ask for help because we want our lives to look or be or feel perfect. But actually, in order for you to manifest, you actually have to have an element of realism to what it is that you're wanting and why it's not happening in the first place. And through my work, I always highly promote that honesty with yourself, and that honesty of being able to go, right, yeah, I have been doing that, and I call it an energetic bitch slap. And sometimes you actually
I love this
conversation with yourself and go like, put.
What the hell is happening here?
So in my community, everybody calls it EB slap.
Love it.
It's just being able to go, right, hold on a minute, and have a conversation with yourself, and not be like, I mean, it's not like being nasty to yourself. It's actually just being real with yourself and going, it's actually funny when you go, oh, look, I'm doing it again. I'm doing that again. And everybody will have their version of what that again is. And it's being able to go, right, stop it. So have commands that you can say to yourself in order to kind of break those cycles and those habits. So for me, with my work, with manifesting, obviously people think it's just manifesting like houses and babies, and actually there's so much more deeper work that's embedded within that, because it's actually the rewiring or the relabeling of the subconscious, which often completely stops us from achieving and succeeding at the root and the way that we can. So it's being able to all unpick that, but also then what my work promotes is actually now and future focused. It's like, I understand I'm doing that, or I understand I need to let go of that, but actually now I want to move forward. And that's when you get really good at manifesting, because you don't cling on to the past. You just keep moving and recognizing when there's resistance, but you still continue to thrive. And that's what I just love to see with people, is like they recognize that there's habits and there's routines, but it's actually being able to break that and then thrive with their business and life. It's just the journey to be able to see what they were to before and after, the glow up, I call it. It's amazing.
Your thoughts around this. How strong does that golden thread running through your narrative, and how long have you kind of had that, I need to just reframe my thoughts with regards to, you, personal, business, life, fabrics, whatnot?
I think it's something that I've developed over time, and I'm probably only cognitively acknowledged that I'm able to do and learnt to do over the last 10 years, I think. I'm of an age where I've been through quite a few decades now. I've been through a divorce, I've lost people in my life, I've had various changes of career. As I mentioned, I was an actress, I've been to art school, I've done all sorts of things. And, within that, naturally, there are some bleak times that come and some difficult periods. But I always just feel there's a resilience that I'm really grateful for in my mind. And I think the resilience comes from being able to reframe. And of course one needs to sit with emotion if it's a very tender time, and it's not about negating the realities of how one is feeling. But I think if you can see your circumstances as a point in a process rather than a landing and a kind of final destination, then that really helps me see beyond where I am. And I think reframing is an interesting point. I had a project when I was a lot younger, and I had a little one who was sort of 4 or 5, and I had a flat in London, and this wasn't an emotional reframing, but it was definitely a spatial reframing, which I think interior designers of course do all the time. We change the interior for somebody and it can completely change the focus. And I had a flat in London, and it looked out, and it was on the 7th story of a very tall block right in the middle of central London, just by the hospital there, Great Ormond Street Hospital. Yes. Anyway, I looked out of my window and there was another block exactly the same opposite, and I remember thinking, if we could just shift that building like 20 foot, I'd have a much better view. Now, there's no way you can shift a building. But what I did with my kind of design eye was I took out a wall in the flat, and it meant that you could walk into the room from a completely different angle. Thereby, the building shifted kind of from one half of the window to the other half of the window. So it was a reframe of a physical building, and that was purely done by mental gymnastics. How can this happen? And that's a metaphor for what I do mentally, which is I'll look at something and I'll think, this is how it appears to me at the moment, and this is true, this is what it is, but how can I look at it from a different perspective and create a different reality from this thinking? And it's slightly hard to explain, because every time one does it, it's for a different circumstance, and it's not something I've read about or something that I've developed through learning. It's through life experience and through my own mental survival mechanisms, optimism. There's all sorts of reasons or words that I could use, but I'm just a big believer that if you view something differently, you can really change your relationship with your circumstances and your aspirations, actually.
I think that is so powerful, and it's almost like you've explained a superpower, because a lot of designers have, where they're able to go into spaces and it might be complete concrete walls and there's nothing in the rooms or the space, it's completely concrete, and they can see the finished article and they can actually build the roadmap to go back, which is something I do with all of my clients after being in it for 15 years. It's a muscle that you exercise, but being able to reframe and say, okay, well, this is it like this, but actually let's change the perspective, let's reframe, let's see how we can come at this from a different angle to create a different viewpoint or experience, is just absolutely phenomenal. I love that. I really love that. And I think it's the power of reframing then across the board, because you can reframe like that in interior design, but then you can also reframe your mindset to say, well, actually, how can we have an even better positive experience through this? What narrative are we telling ourselves?
It is vast. And so what I really have learned is that it really is particular to you, your studio, and also your clients. We need to take a look, what kind of projects are you servicing? Is it commercial? Is it residential? What types of products are you specifying? Are we just taking things from the high street where they can very easily see the kind of prices that they could, source the item for? Or is it a fully bespoke design, in which case we need to be charging a higher percentage? The only thing that I would say is to take a look at it at the beginning when you're sort of pricing the project and you're in that sort of initial phase. You need to sit down with the team that you have around you, so whether that's your senior designer, your junior designer, whoever, and look at the project when you are pricing it and decide at that point that that is the percentage that you will be charging. Always try and get my sort of clients in design studios to avoid, oh, well, we did this for this last project, so that's what we've done for this one. No, let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at this project and let's decide what's going to be the appropriate percentage for us to charge. And typically most design studios will work similar-ish projects, and so they will find a rhythm that works for them. Personally, also do prefer transparency with clients. I think you can get yourself into a very sticky situation if you decide that you're going to put a higher percentage and you're not going to disclose. I think transparency is a really useful tool to have with your clients, and I think it builds up that kind of communication and trust, because particularly when you're working with residential, it is a huge trust that they're putting into you as their interior designer. So I think clear and open communication about the percentages that you are going to be charging as your handling fee is a really essential foundation to kind of start your project on.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think also the one thing that we also communicate is, especially with that transparency, I have known design studios to be really caught out by the clients where they've gone and said, oh, well, my friend's got that. Why am I being charged X? And this is why we also always say, realistically, I believe this to be right, but the studio, certainly for at least 12 to 18 month cycles, should be charging the same procurement fee per project with the same transparency, certainly until they have price increases or company changes. Because obviously every time you do that or change that, you've got to change terms and conditions, you've got to change contracts, and then it's double handling documents, double handling work. And when you can find yourself getting into a rhythm of actually, you know, these are the minimum spends, these are the procurement fees, these are the trade discounts, you can actually also pipeline forecast, which means that you can see actually how much the business is then going to bring in per project if it's going to get potentially procured. So, you know, there are swings and roundabouts, but it is, like you say, it can be very varied to each studio, can't it?
Yeah, and I think that it's important, so particularly with the newer studios, to figure out what kind of is going to work for them. And that can happen through, you know, we didn't charge enough for that project and now we've got to charge a little bit more for this one. But forecasting, like you said, is a really, really important tool that you need to have within your business in order to, you know, forecast your sort of financial growth and all of those different really key elements. And so knowing that you have a solid procurement fee means that when you take a job on immediately, you know, you can look forward and say, we've got those 3 jobs booked in over the next 6 months. We know exactly what our profit margins are. And that is so essential before you dive in. It makes me feel so nervous when I hear studios say, oh, well, you know, I think we'll make about this on this job. And I said, no, we need to know that before we're starting, because as much as we love interior design, we're not doing this just out of the good of our heart. It's a business, and we need to make sure that we have sort of confidence and security in the models that we're sort of setting ourselves up with. And so, yeah, being able to forecast for your projects is so important, so important.
Welcome to day 6 of the Christmas Advent Calendar podcast. And as you know, this is a space where every day in December brings you a moment of grounding, reflection, and empowerment as we move towards a powerful 2026. Now, today's episode is a little different and best listened to at home first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening, as I know it's one that many of you will come back to time and time again. Now, we're stepping into a practice that has the power to rewire your thinking, strengthen your confidence, ground your energy, and reshape the way you see yourself in your future. And today I'm gifting you 2 subconscious scripts, one to use every morning as you set the tone for the day, and one to use every evening as you soften, release, and reset your energy. I want you to have access to these across the month of December so you can immediately get to work on your soulful mindset practices. These scripts are designed to speak directly to your subconscious mind, the part of you that carries your beliefs, your fears, your identity, your confidence, and the stories that you tell yourself. And when used consistently through December and beyond, these affirmations and scripts will create the emotional and mental foundation for the women you want to become in 2026. You can listen to this episode first thing in the morning with your coffee, whilst you're getting ready for the day, during your nightly wind down routine, or as a quiet moment with yourself before bed. So before we get started, I want you to find a safe, calm space. Place your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and take a deep breath in, and let's begin. This morning, I choose myself. I choose clarity. I choose confidence. I choose the woman I am becoming. I am powerful, capable, and ready for more. I wake up with purpose. I lead with intention. I trust myself deeply. Today, I show up as the woman who expands, the woman who grows, and a woman that knows her worth. My ideas are valuable, my presence is impactful, and my work creates change. I am open to new opportunities. I attract aligned clients, aligned people, and aligned experiences. I speak with confidence. I make decisions with certainty, and I trust the path unfolding beneath my feet. I am stepping into a new chapter, a chapter of abundance, creativity, leadership, and growth. My potential is limitless. My vision is powerful. My energy is magnetic. And today, I walk in alignment with the woman I am becoming, braver, stronger, softer, wiser, and deeply connected to my purpose. I am ready for more. I am ready for growth, and I am ready for 2026. So we need to pull that out of you. And I find a lot of businesses come to me with surface level wording. We see so much of this, don't we?
Yes.
And I almost feel sometimes people don't see, well, actually, how can my difference and my story set me aside and make my company more unique? What do I bring to the table? And this is such an important tip, I think, going into 2026, because we're going to get hit with this volume and wall of noise in this digital AI era. I mean, oh my God, we could talk, me and you.
That's a whole separate episode, Lisa.
That's like 3 podcasts in one. We can be here all night long, the whole 31 days. But I think it is so true that people going into 2026 need to think about, if they are currently feeling surface level in their business and in their brand, how do they create difference? And if you're not bringing your story in, now is the perfect time to bring your story in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your story is your power. Yeah. And when we talk about the why as well, Lisa, let me just mention something on that. I also work with a lot of people, and have over the years, coaching, mentoring, just polishing people's skill sets and my own as well. And when I think about what I'm going to do, yes, start with a why. Simon Sinek wrote a great book about it. But there's also this deeper dive that you talk about. If you can answer 5 whys, you're going to get the actual why. So when we ask why, we start at number 1. And sometimes people say, well, because. And they say, why? Well, okay, because. Yeah. Why?
Why?
And then when you drill down, the surface why is very different to the actual why.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do this exercise with so many women that come to me on a one-to-one basis. And I ask them a set of questions. I do, because we start with, when we mentor and coach, the anchoring and the purpose. What makes them get out of bed every single morning? What's the fire and the drive behind the business? Because on the hard days, the surface level isn't going to get you out of bed.
No,
it isn't. You need to go a hell of a lot deeper to whoosh that warm duvet up and roll your feet out and jump out on those cold winter mornings. And I say to them, when they come back to me with maybe a few whys, I'm like, yeah, we're going to go deeper. And they're like, I don't think I've got deeper. And I'm like, no, this isn't to be rushed. We're going to do this over the next 7 to 10 days, and you're going to go deeper. And by the time we get to the bottom, they go, geez, I never thought I had that in me. Now you've unearthed it. It's so important.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, it can spill into any area.
Yeah, Absolutely. And I think it's all businesses, not just like for your categories or my categories that we look at and work in. It's every single business has to have those deep level whys, be different, and what's their story.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, you talk about interior design, yeah. I'm not an interior designer yet. When I walk into a lovely designed room, my appreciation is straight away. But if I see the same thing, I'm like,
Boring.
boring.
See that?
Bye. So yeah. Hey.
Great minds. I love it. What would that look like for someone listening to this that may not really be into self-care or looking after themselves?
Now, this opens up a bigger can of worms because we are all our own individuals.
Yes.
We all have our own way of dealing with things. But the first things first with all of us, we need to get to know ourselves. We need to be in tune with our bodies, with our minds, and when to stop. It's not that you wait for yourself to then have aches and pains and migraines and headaches to be like, oh, I'm overworking, let's stop. No. Stop it from before. But it's all about being in tune with ourselves and getting to know ourselves better. I mean, we run lives getting to know other people and knowing other people inside out. But have we ever stopped and thought, God, do I even know myself? Like, when was the last time actually I did something that truly made me happy and made me excel in life? Hardly ever, because we're always on that go. We're on this train and we're going somewhere and we don't stop at a station to disembark, get rid of our baggage and jump back on. That's another analogy I love using.
Yeah.
So first things first is get to know yourself. Once you've gotten to know yourself, you will know the signs and symptoms that your body is showing you, because it is very different for everyone. I can easily say for me, it's when I feel disconnected from everyone. So because work is so much on my mind, I'm disconnected from other people. And when they're talking to me, I'm like, huh? Sorry? Oh, yeah. And I act like I'm listening to them, but it's gone through one ear and out the other. That's one. Secondly, I'll start to get headaches and I will go to bed and my whole body is aching as though I've just done a workout.
Yeah.
Right? But for everyone, it's not the same. Some people, they will feel themselves getting moody or grouchy, or they'll feel themselves feeling down, or they'll feel themselves secluding themselves from other people. That's when you stop and you think, right, no, I need to now look after myself, practice self-compassion to myself, and I come first. You cannot help other people, including your business, if your glass is half full.
That is
right?
so.
You cannot be going to.
That's so true. And, it's something we talk a lot about when I coach and mentor women, that I always look at. You can have the best business strategies, but if you're not internally made up and looking after yourself from a soulful perspective, from a mindset, from a mental health, there is no business that's going to run effectively and properly. And I think in this day and age, I've seen a massive surgence of coaches coming together that can run very successful businesses and give business strategy led work, as well as mindset and soulfulness. And it's so important that we're looking after the two, because at the end of the day, our mental health is everything, isn't it?
Everything. And this is the thing. There's so much big stigma about mental health, and the word gets thrown around everywhere. So people are scared to mention mental health. Actually, we all have a physical health. We've all got emotional health, and we've all got a mental health. If you don't have a mental health, you don't have a brain, and that would be physically impossible to be alive without a brain. So we all have mental health. But mental health just means, are you 100% mentally healthy? Are you in the middle, or are you very low? And if we're not careful with certain things we do in life, we get very low. So that's all that mental health is. Mental health illness is completely separate, and that's diagnosed issues that if we're not looking after our mental health, we can easily go into that pattern with a mental health illness diagnosis there. But also our body is all connected. our physical health goes hand in hand with our emotional health and our mental health. If we are not looking after our physical side, but yet we're always working, our brain's always working, then your physical health drops down and your mental health goes up. It's unbalanced. If we're going through something emotionally that takes precedence, then the rest gets unbalanced. It's about rebalancing all of them so we're in line with each other. Then we're healthy and we're stronger. Because imagine, I'm holding my hand up here. This side here is mental health. This side here is your physical health. And you're going to the gym all the time, but you're not reading any books. You're not watching any documentaries, or you're not feeding your soul mentally. Your physical health goes up, your mental health goes down. Then what happens is we've got a big gap. So whatever we're doing is just seeping through and falling out. Rather than it being like this, and whatever we're doing, we're elevating ourselves. We're going higher and higher and higher. That's the best way I can explain that. And hopefully the listeners can understand which way I'm going with this. But for me, like I said, my main tip is self-compassion.
So you've got to make sure that what you're doing is fully in alignment with your purpose and the reason you're here. So many people fall into the trap of doing because they think they should, or because it's working, or because it's successful. But actually, if it's not aligned with you, eventually your energy will be affected by that. So that's the first and foremost. And that takes daily attention. You have to audit yourself. You have to ask yourself those questions. You have to check in with your feelings. You have to check in with your energy. You have to check in with how, you're feeling within you, and be like, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right road to go down? Is this the right angle for this? Is this a hell yes for me, sort of thing? And that's right down to the very nitty gritty as well. Like, your energy is your strategy, full stop. So yes, of course, all of the strategies that are out there work, but do they all work for you? No. So you need to make sure you're constantly auditing, constantly checking in with yourself that, like, is this the right action to take in every single step? And that takes daily practice, daily work. And another thing that I would say that needs to be done on a daily basis is everything that you love, like making sure that the actions that you're taking, the things that you're doing, your time that you're spending is spent doing things that you love. So I've really manipulated my businesses to make that the thing, so that I feel like I'm fucking about my mates all day. And I say this all the time, and it's every single action that I take in my business is joy, is fun, is exciting, it raises my frequency. So every action that I take generally now feeds me, so I don't have to do the whole, like, what I call the big guns. So when those things, when your life gets full, or your days get full, or maybe you've not started doing this work yet and you don't know where to start, the big guns are the things like meditation, actively taking time out intentionally to work on your energy, going and booking this, half a spa day, going and having, some time with a friend who that will make you laugh or feel good, having a phone call with your business bestie, going and spending some time, free time to yourself. That's big guns, because generally as business owners we don't have that time to be able to just go and actively find that just from anywhere. Patience, journaling, stuff that we really ought to be doing that we tend not to do, like so sometimes that I have to bring those big guns back in. Like, I don't journal every day, I don't meditate every day, I don't even do my EFT tapping every single day. I do it when I'm slightly out of alignment, or I need something. It's like a medicine for me. Those things I use as medicines now, they're the big guns. But on a daily basis, if you can create a routine, a ritual, a life that is full of everything that you love, and that could be from showing up on a social media platform that you love, talking to a client that you love, like everything around you is surrounded with things that you love, you will constantly keep your frequency high. If you're celebrating, if you're having amazing conversations, if you're getting into amazing rooms, if you're speaking to fantastic clients, if you're selling, those sorts of things, like that all keeps your frequency high. So there's lots of things that you can do on a day-to-day basis that will keep your frequency high, but if you're not there yet, it takes some time to build up.
So talk to me about 2026 and what's happening in the world of Bolton Virtual
Oh
Solutions.
my God, what's not happening?
Oh,
I feel
it's
like,
so exciting.
since last year, so much has happened. But okay, so while we're on the topic of getting in the room, I think the obvious thing to mention is my networking events that I run. So I do that as the London networking leader for Social Success Circle. And I run one in-person event every month, and I run a couple of online ones because in person is exhausting when you're running them.
Yeah.
So I keep that to once a month for now. They're exactly what I look for in networking events. You can turn up in your hoodie and trainers. I mean, I don't care if you turn up in your dressing gown. As long as you've got some form of clothing on, I'm happy.
You will not call the police. Okay. So, like, the vibe is like relaxed
We
and
meet
chilled,
in a Toby
informal.
Carvery bar. So it's nice and cosy. It's nice and chilled. Coffee is amazing. You can turn up earlier and get breakfast if you want to get yourself breakfast.
Nice. So you could even all like meet as a little group and do a brekkie if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I start them from 10 o'clock, which is like towards the back end of their breakfast slot. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get there early and treat yourself to a buffet fry-up, why wouldn't you?
Why not?
I run those and they're just a couple of hours and we literally just chat.
Nice.
So we find out about each other, how everything's going in business, like what little gripes there might be. Someone in the room could maybe potentially help with that little issue that someone's got. We celebrate each other, we support each other, we connect with each other. So, you know, that's what networking is for, essentially. Yeah. And then the online ones, because obviously there's people all over the country. Like this business has the potential to go international.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, it would be nice to get people from all over the world on the online ones. I actually had someone on Threads the other day inbox me and said, "Oh, I see you run networking events. Where'd you do them?" I was like, "In Bromley. But I see you're in Australia. I think that might be a bit far." And he was like, "Oh yeah,
but you can come to the online
you can
one.
come to the online ones, yeah."
It's just going to be like 10 p.m.
Like,
your
read
time
the
at
bio.
night. I love that though, that you're actually getting like traction globally, which is amazing.
Yeah, on Threads, it's so easy to do on Threads, so easy.
I love that.
Then there's also the membership. Which...
Talk to us about the membership.
So we're on now the 10th of December.
Yeah.
So 5 days until doors open to the founders.
I'm so excited.
So there have been 10 founder spots opened up.
Okay.
And anyone who gets one of those spots gets a month's early access. So this membership is a community space, and it's for other virtual assistants and online business managers. Because I built this because I feel like it's something that was missing for me personally.
Yeah.
And when I was doing my market research and reading up on things, seeing what else is out there actually isn't anything like it out there. So I really do feel like it's the missing piece to our puzzle in our industry, because like I said earlier, it can be a really lonely place when you're just sat behind a screen.
I encourage women to, as we've said, get some music on and just dance. And dance like a fool. I think there was an advert a while ago where it's like, you know, it's dance where nobody's watching. And that kind of thing as well. It just it's that movement in your body. And that's something that I always encourage women to do. Obviously, again, the journaling. And also, this can be tricky and it depends how you feel with this kind of thing. But I always sort of say, if you can go into a place where you can go and look on somebody's Instagram and explore what they're doing, but do it in a way that you're not going to compare yourself, that can actually be a very powerful tool, because somebody else is showing you what's possible for you. And don't go into the comparison side, but look and think, okay, how is she doing that? And that's also a really good way for you to start the small steps towards doing it as well. But again, you know, we have to be careful, because I think we do get stuck in that, oh, she's doing that and I'm not. But it's something, if you are in a place to do that, I do that, and I find that really, really useful to see that people are holding events or they're doing these certain things in their business that I know my higher self wants to. And then another thing that I do as well is I have sticky notes all over my desk, positive affirmations, things that my higher self will be doing as well. And you are a great podcaster or something, or you hold a fantastic space for women. And just, I'm filling my mind with all of these positive words, positive thoughts, because that is what the subconscious needs. In order for you to become the higher self, your subconscious has to be taught and untaught the stories that we've been told, but it needs to be taught some new stories. And that's what just reading these every single day helped me to do as well.
I love that. It's basically fine-tuning your mind to the positive narrative and turning the dial down with the negative narrative, because there is so much negativity out there. And I think it's really easy to kind of wake up and start filling our mind with scrolling, comparisonitis, doubt, and then, I've got a million and one things to do. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And before you know it, your subconscious part of your brain, in those early hours of waking up in the morning, they are so fragile and fresh, and that's the best time, as well as 2 to 3 hours after, and the afternoon and the evening time, to really retain this information and to talk to it. And it's so easy to fall into the doom kind of hole with negative, isn't it?
Yeah, very. I've got a very lovely morning routine. Now, I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. They're up at 6:15.
Yes.
So I've created this little ritual that I can do in the morning, sort of with around the children. So as you say, I don't touch my phone until about 7:45, 8 o'clock, because like you said, our brain is so in that prime state. So I wake up, I will do, when the kids are sort of playing, I will do a 10-minute visualization with my headphones on. So whether that be a money one, whether it be success. Again, I go with what my body needs that day. Sometimes I might feel that I need something, that's going to be more empowering. Sometimes I'm in right, I need to go into this, I'm in the strong money mode, and I'll listen to that. So again, I just follow my body, and then I write 3 gratitudes. And I also have just a small A5 page, which I have written what my future self will be having and holding. And I read it every single day and I think about it. And that's it. It takes me 15 minutes to do that, but that set up my day in a positive way. I've also connected with my future self. I know what I'm aiming for. And yeah, I've already got those positive emotions buzzing around my body just before I've even got my feet out of bed.
Now, the lack of systems in design businesses can create havoc and chaos, but systems create capacity. So where in your business do you feel overwhelmed or scattered? And that's the system that you're missing. So I want you to really sit and think about that for 2026. Now, the next thing is, let's be really honest here. Designers don't struggle with boundaries because they don't want them. And we're going to go into a whole boundary and energy thing. They struggle because they don't have the frameworks that make boundaries feel safe in their businesses. So I want to ask you this question, and I want you to ask yourself this question actually. Where in your business do you feel resentment or frustration? Which clients drain you the most? Where do you feel like you've been overgiving? And where do things feel unclear or even uncomfortable? Now, every one of those answers is a point to a missing boundary. And boundaries aren't walls, they're clarity. Clarity in your contracts, clarity in communication, clarity in deliverables, clarity in timelines, clarity in what's included, and also what's not included, by the way. So ask yourself this: what boundary needs strengthening before your next client walks through the door? And this could be an audit of your design company, maybe over Christmas and New Year's or the beginning of January, so that you belt and brace your business for 2026. Now I'm going to talk about energetics, and this is a real big one. Designers often say to me, when I feel more confident, I'm going to raise my prices. I've heard this so many times. When I have more experience, I'm going to show up online more. When I get more clients, I'll take the business seriously. But what if the opposite is true? Now, what if your business is waiting for you to step up first? So let me ask you this question. Who do you believe you are as a designer? Sit with that for a moment. What identity are you currently leading from? And what identity do you need to step into for the business to grow? What version of you does your next level require? And your business won't expand beyond your identity. This foundation is invisible, but this is absolutely everything that you need. So sit with all of that and really think about that for a moment. The next thing I want you to think about is marketing beyond pretty pictures. Now, let's be honest. When you think about marketing, do you think about posting? Because posting is not marketing. So let me ask you this. What does your audience understand about how you work? Do they know your processes? Do they know your values? Do they know your expertise? And do they feel connected to you as a designer? Marketing is clarity. Marketing is telling the story of your value, and marketing is educating people on why you're the right choice for them to hire you. So let me ask you this. Is your marketing creating demand or simply filling a feed? Sit with that and let me know how you get on. Now, bringing everything together is something that I really want to talk about here. Okay, so if you look at everything we've covered, your service structure, your pricing, your systems, your boundaries, your identity, your marketing, which area feels like the biggest gap for you right now out of the questions that I have just asked you?
Do you know what? I was just thinking about just that as you're saying that, and I'm gonna do some promotion for you right now, because this is why what you're doing in January is so important.
Yes.
Both. It's the strategy, you've got that strategy and soul, right? It's the energetics and the business. You can only go so far
with one of them. If you didn't have the other.
And it's the both, right? And it is constant and it is moving, and we need to really be so mindful of that, because it's the power. It's what will keep us building and growing and expanding as business owners, as creators, as service providers. You know, I always think about it in terms of, it's like, put your own mask on first. Like, there is that need from an energetics perspective to be open to playing with it and using that. And I was listening to a podcast on the drive home today, and I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about the visionary event and what everybody's going to experience, and that real beautiful blend and mix of the two. And they were talking about like vision boarding, and the lady who was on the podcast said, I actually call it like action board, because a vision is nothing unless you take action. And energetics is, and energy work doesn't mean bypassing the action. And what we will be doing, and I say we because I get to be there in the room and do some stuff, is that in action. Like, it is the both, and it is so necessary for everybody at every stage and every level of business, of creativity, of serving in whatever way, shape or form you do, because otherwise you fall flat, and it's a lot harder to get up if you don't blend the two. And does that mean, so I think, if I think about in my experience and talking about cycles, like the menstrual cycle, nature, and my work that I used to do with women around understanding cycle syncing, energetics through modalities like human design, understanding yourself, emotional medicine that I personally use and use in my business, it's like, that used to be fucking alien. That used to be something that was like, oh, I don't know. And now there are like loads of business owners coming out of the proverbial closet saying, oh, I do that. That's something in my toolkit, because the both are required to be successful in business.
Yeah. The energy work and the business strategy. And for years I thought I just needed the strategy, until I realized that the energy work, the mindset work, the subconscious work, the internal 80% had to be done in order to become a successful business owner in your own right. And that, I think, touching upon the visionary event, Nicola, you're one of our gorgeous guest speakers that's going to be running an amazing workshop on, the energetics internally of you, what that looks like, a gorgeous women's circle, readings, and really helping women understand energetic emotions and how they use that in their toolkits going forward in 2026. And this is why I bring intimate groups of women together with leading industry experts to be able to support women moving forward in 2026 that need the blend of both of those.
Yeah. Really, I would really unpick the stories. So I would start to lift the lid on what you believe is the reason that you can't step forward or that you can't let go, because there will be some resistance. For example, if somebody was still charging their 2020 prices and they were still serving people at a lower level, and that's not disrespectful, but they've evolved, you know, they've excelled in what they're doing, they provide even deeper transformation, all of that, and they feel they're still operating from their 2020 self, for example, there will be a story running behind that. There will be a narrative in their mind that is stopping them from stepping into the next level 2026 self, you know, and they're still behaving and operating from here. So what I would ask them to do, just something they can do themselves if they're not working with somebody like me on mindset, would maybe to journal out on that. Ask themselves, where am I operating from outdated beliefs? And what do I make this mean about me? You know, I've been doing this in my group program, Strategy and Subconscious, and when we're in there, there's people that have had beliefs that are their fathers, for example. It's the story that they have to work really, really hard because people won't pay them unless they're working really hard and over-delivering. You know, that's a belief that they've always seen from childhood, that, you know, success comes from working really, really hard. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to put the hours in, but there's other narratives. So I think, first of all, understand where the story is coming from. You have to have awareness before you can start acting on it. And often just knowing that this is not your story, this is not your belief. So there's really stepping into the self-worth piece, knowing that you are worthy of this next level. You know, so I would say journaling on that, really being reflective and curious. And then, where am I holding myself back? Where am I holding myself back from that next level identity? And another exercise that I do with clients is to really visualize. I know that you're very keen on visualization as well, Lisa. I like my clients to really visualize who they want to be. So I'd love for your listeners to think about where they want to be 1 year from today when they're listening to this. So December 2026. What would that next level version of them be doing? Like you touched on, Lisa. What decisions would she be making? Would she be quibbling over 2020 prices as she builds her empire? Okay, there's a real misalignment there, isn't there? And that's not always without shame or judgment on ourselves, but there's a misalignment. We can desire and wish for this next level version of ourselves, but we're keeping her on a pedestal and unattainable if we're still operating from an old, outdated mindset. So we need to start to bridge that gap, as you say, energetically, by making decisions today, not next year, not in January, not in Q3, Q4 as we go in. It's from taking steps today. It's taking steps every single day. What would she do? I know that you're a real big fan of this as well, Lisa, aren't you? What would she do?
I love it.
Yeah, for my higher self. Because we need to start making those decisions now to bridge us to that person. And when those old beliefs and stories are coming up, start to be curious about them. When you get fearful of raising your prices, when you get fearful of going to speak on stage, be curious and start to explore that inner work. And that can look like different things for different people. I use NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, all different techniques to help people lift that. But even starting with journaling, awareness is a great next step.
Like I mentioned, you have thoughts, you experience emotions, but they're not you.
Okay.
Just as you're not happiness, you're also not sad. They're emotions that we experience. And an emotion will only normally last 5 seconds. Think about the last thing that made you really happy.
Oh gosh, there's so many thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how long did it last?
Yeah.
Like the immediate experience was probably about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like it is with sadness. But what happens with happiness, we experience it, we get the rush, the stripe account comes through and you hit it. You're not feeling like this all day. The stripe account's not hitting endorphins all day, like it cuts down. But that's because we experience sensations of emotions all day, every day. What happens while the sadness stays or the anxiety stays, it becomes known. and your subconscious love anything known, so it'll keep hold of it and be like, oh yes, this is a known feeling, we know what to do here, panic, anxiety. Then we start going into, for example, one of my patterns would be a pity party. See, this never works out, it's really hard for me, it's because I need to work harder, it's not going to happen for me. You go into that. So that's just like a simple little exercise that I want you to do to just get, again, the awareness around what you're experiencing, how you're thinking, how you're feeling, how we can change it.
So it's the breath work, it's the reframing and asking questions, and the simple statement of, I thought it had me, but
now I have it.
Yes.
So we're taking back that control. I want you to imagine it as if me and you are going for a nice bougie dinner, right? And we go to the types of restaurants where we have a lot of cutlery. Okay?
Love a lot of
cutlery.
then
the waiter comes over and they say, what would you like to drink? And I'm like, I'll have a glass of champagne.
And I will have a Whispering Angel rosé.
Wonderful. Okay. And he's like, perfect. So we carry on chatting. We're not sitting here going, bring in the verb. Do you think he heard that you wanted Whispering Angel and not another rosé? We're not. We're just like, yeah, fine. So then he comes over, and he's hot, by the way. So when he comes over, we're a bit like, hi. And he's bringing over more cutlery. And we look at each other and we go, we don't need more cutlery. Like, we've got so much cutlery. Like, what on earth is going on here? And you're like, well, I can't say it. And I'm like, well, I don't want to say it. This is really awkward. And he goes, more cutlery. And then you go, you get your big boy pants on, and you remember Natasha teach you subconsciously why, and then you go, it's okay, thank you, I have enough. And then he smiles at it and he goes, okay, and he walks away. Exactly like that hot waiter, I want you to experience it with thoughts. You get to determine whether you take that thought on or not. Okay. Because we have so many thoughts, I just want you to see them as just like clouds. It's the ones that we then take on and we make it mean something about us, and we go down this...
And we let them infiltrate our system.
Yeah, and then the whole day, your brain is coming from the place of that thought, that memory, that emotion that happened probably years ago, but we're still navigating our life and business from it. So I want you to pretend that that thought is like the hot waiter. And you just get to give that statement. You're saying it's okay, it's not necessary.
Yeah. It's okay, I don't need it right now.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
No action needs to be taken.
No action needs to be taken.
It's not necessary. And then your brain then signifies to your body, I can relax, and it's fine. And then we're not in survival mode. And then we can access the logic to go, actually, yeah. Okay, so what are we doing? Let's think about our next plan.